Alrighty, everybody. Well, we are live. How exciting! Welcome to our further study panel. For all of you who are watching this live, and also if you're watching this at a later date as well. So, with me this afternoon, I've got some of our fantastic academic colleagues, and one or two more who might be jumping in a little bit later as well. But to start with, my name is Corinne. I am the Student Engagement Coordinator here at the Office of Employability and Graduate Success. But I am going to hand it over to our friends here to introduce who they are and what they do here at the university. So, Hong-Jae, I might start with you if that's okay.
Hello. My name is Hong-Jae Park. I'm academic course advisor for Master of Social Work qualifying course at Western Sydney University. Nice to see you.
Lovely to have you here, Hong-Jae. Thank you so much. And Anupama, after you, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Corinne. So I am Anupama Ginige. I'm a senior lecturer in health informatics in the School of Computing, Data and Mathematical Sciences at Western Sydney University. And I'm also the Associate Dean Engagement for our school. So to tell a little bit about myself, I've got a background in mathematics. That's where I started in my bachelor's. Then I moved on to do postgraduate studies in information and communication technology and further studies PhD. But I currently mostly research and teach in the health informatics and anything to do with health and IT.
Wow, wonderful. Well, you're both very busy people doing a lot of fantastic work. So it's so great to have you here on our panel this afternoon. And now, as I mentioned at the start, we're going to just get straight into the questions. But I will say for anyone who's watching this live and even after the fact too, you are very welcome to ask questions in our Q&A comment box. So please feel free to do that and we will endeavour to answer those after each question, alrighty? So I think let's get into this, shall we? And the very first question we have is, from your experience, do most people in the postgraduate space naturally follow on from an undergraduate course in the same discipline? What would you like to say about that? Yeah, Anupama, maybe you can go first.
Okay. All right. So, talking about my industry sector that I am in, information and communication technologies, it is very different to other sectors. I would say some of the other sectors, there are not many people who have done an undergraduate in the information and communication technologies go on to do a postgraduate study in that field. But having said that, it is always what they are looking at is to expand their horizon into other sectors. So they may go and do a postgraduate studies in business administration or like myself, I've done a postgraduate studies in health science because I am applying my technology knowledge into the health science domain. And also there is the other way is true in our domain. There are some people who are in, let's say, in other areas, but wanting to study data science or masters of data science or something like that, or they want to study, they have done, accounting or business, or they have done studies in health area or some other area that they have been employed for a while, but they want to get their knowledge in the information and communication technologies or data science domain. So they would tend to cross their domains, use the postgraduate studies as an opportunity to cross the domains. One other thing that I tend to find, actually, there are two really useful success stories coming out of our schools, is that, as you probably know, in the information and communication technologies area, you really don't need a formal qualification to start working. You could be going into the industry as a high school graduate, just go into the industry and you work there for a while, and then you find that you hit a ceiling after a while because you don't have that formal qualification. So that those students actually can, without an undergraduate degree, with their work experience, come into postgraduate studies straight away and get a formal qualification so that it can give them an opportunity to move up the corporate ladder or to to get a formal job or work with the government or in a specific industry sector. So that's my experience in our sector, Corinne.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I loved hearing all of that, Anupa. Thank you. Oh, Anupama, sorry. Thank you so much. And Hong-Jae, would you mind talking a little bit about your area as well?
Yeah, our area is similar to what Anupama said, because the Master of Social Work qualifying is targeted to those students who actually not complete the social work in their undergraduate degree. If they complete social work program undergraduate degree, then they don't need to take a Master of Social Work qualifying again, because they are already qualified as a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
So our target group is those people who haven't studied social work before, but they want to become a social worker as a profession. So our students is quite diverse. Obviously, some students already done sociology and anthropology and other social science programs, or other students may have done like engineering, medical studies, nursing, education, all around the areas. They actually try to change their career, and then they choose to become a qualified social worker. So yeah, obviously my answer is different. A different background people coming to our program to become a qualified social worker. Yes.
That's really interesting. How interesting actually to know there's such a diversity of backgrounds and where people are coming from in order to study. So I think that's really cool. What an awesome place to be in. Thank you so much, you guys, for your great answers. And that sort of brings us on nicely to another question that I had for you. And it's just sort of a broad question about postgraduate study in general. And the question actually is, do you think that postgraduate study is a good option in what we are seeing as a very competitive labour market, and that is growing more and more competitive graduate labour market as well? What are your comments on that? And Anupama, maybe you might want to start this one again.
Yeah, okay. So if you're thinking of a competitive advantage, among graduates, and you would see that, there are so many graduates out there at this point in time looking for the same jobs, and, you get about thousands of applications for every job is advertised. I think whether they have a competitive advantage over others based on their postgraduate studies depends on the job that you are applying. So if let's say you are in the information and communication technology sector, IT sector, and you're going for a management position, and if you're going for that management position, the fact that you have an MBA will be advantages over a person who doesn't have an MBA, because of the management position would require you to have those skills. So I think it is applicable based on the position that you are looking at. But if you are looking at a technological position, for example, let's say a programmer or a systems architecture or somebody like that, maybe it might not be that important to have a postgraduate study, but it is totally based on the position. But I must say this: postgraduate positions are always a good opportunity to expand your network in a meaningful way. Expand your network, and that actually could be in the ICT sector. That expanding the network, going into another sector, and getting to know people around that sector would be an opportunity that you may have a competitive advantage, because in ICT sector most of the jobs are filled through contacts rather than through advertisements. Advertisements are there, but they would definitely give a preference through contacts. So to build your contacts, maybe you can use that postgraduate opportunity to expand your horizons, I would say. Yeah, Corinne.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Anupama. And Hong-Jae, would you mind commenting on that as well for us?
Yeah, I think I'm totally, agree with Anupama about having more contact and networks and to get a good job or a better job, obviously as a postgraduate student. In addition to that, in social work, actually social workers are dealing with the people who are most marginalized or vulnerable in the community. So that means organizations or like agencies, they actually like to have a more mature student, having more experience and also more skills and different knowledge and values. So in terms of that, MSWQ program, I think is in a better position to offer our student to get a job compared with undergraduate program.
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe also along the same lines of sort of what we're talking about, we actually got a question coming from Chris about whether or not it is hard to complete further study while you're raising a family and also working at the same time. And I don't know if you guys had on that or any experience from students that you worked with or even personal experience. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that possibly?
Yeah, MSW. Yeah.
Yeah, Hong-Jae.
Yeah, MSWQ program actually has a workshop mode, delivery mode. That means we don't ask students coming to the university every day or every week. So just for one unit, students attend workshop, even there's a full day workshop, like 4 times or 5 times per semester. So our students normally coming to the university on Saturdays, maybe one weekday, something like that. So the other days, they actually they can go for work or some family commitment. So still quite flexible because this is a postgraduate study. And so we trying to give students more opportunity to engage with all other activities and other life issues rather than just coming to university every day.
Yes, absolutely. It is so nice to know there are so many flexibility options for those who are with a family or working full time. So thank you so much, Hong-Jae. And Anupama, I know you had a few things to add there as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add my personal experience. I would say, like, if you look at the lifespan of a normal, human being working and, raising a family, I think in your 30s and 40s are the most challenging period because you will be bringing up a family and you're trying to further your career and possibly a mortgage and all kind of things are, things that you have to deal with at that time. I think possibly my personal experience has been actually I've done all of those things at the same time. And I think it's, you need to start. And if you don't start, it won't happen. So like Hong said, there are flexible opportunities and the ways to work through it. You don't have to study full time. You could do one unit at a time in your own pace. And as you are doing, and then there are so many options available for that. Like online study options and flexible study options. So I think it's doable, and it's all about where do you want to put yourself, further you, and then where you are in career. Probably delaying it little too long might be harder. Because then, there would be other opportunities that you will miss out if you don't have that the qualification that you require for that position that is coming up next,
Absolutely. I think having time to invest in yourself, it can sometimes be hard to find that time, but it's always worth it in the end. And I'm sure you're feeling grateful that you do it for yourself as well, even though it's hard to get there. So really great advice. Thank you guys very much. And it brings us to a really question, which is about what is actually the time commitment required for postgraduate study. And this might be different depending on what area we're looking at. But I guess from your side of things, what is that time requirement?
So do you want me to start? Sorry, Corinne, I'm not sure whether you hear me all right. Or you're breaking up a little bit on my side. So I hope your audio is coming through clear for you when I'm talking.
I can hear you nice and clear. Yes, it might just be
That's
my
good.
side of things. Did you hear my question okay, or do you need me to repeat it again?
No, that's all right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So when you said about the commitment, time commitment, generally in the Western Sydney context, our units are, or subjects as we call them, are a 10 credit point subject. What a 10 credit point subject requires is a 10 hours of commitment from the student. Now, when I say 10 hours of commitment, it involves your lectures, your tutorial activities, or your preparation for assessment tasks and things like that. All of the like all throughout your study time and your research time and so on and so forth. But having said that, there are students who perform very well because they have the background, some background knowledge, and or they are skilled at doing certain things. They don't have to spend that 10 hours to get even a distinction or a higher distinction and achieve best results. So it is, you could think about it from a, in a face-to-face hours perspective. It could be like a 1 hour lecture or a 2 hour tutorial or something like that. In addition to that, your own time. So you're looking at something in between 3 to 10 hours, depending on your skill sets that you already have, and then obviously time availability as well,
Of course. So again, it can be quite flexible depending on the person.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wonderful. And Hong-Jae, did you want to add anything in there as well?
Yeah, our program little bit different from others because we're professional training course. That means every student needs to complete 1,000 hours mandatory work placement. That means no student year one they have 400 hour placement in the second semester. And then 600 hour placement in the second semester in year two. So that means the students need to go to organization Monday to Friday, sometimes Monday to Wednesday. They actually need to be there as a social worker in that organization. So that could be a little bit challenging for people who have a part-time job or full-time job, but that's the period to actually start to get real-world education training as a professional social worker.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're saying, I guess it really does depend on what area you're studying in, depending on what the time commitment is required. But it's nice to sort of see the two different sides of things. So thank you both so very much. And I guess, again, these questions sort of flow on from each other. But my actual next question for you is about how employers actually regard postgraduate study in your fields. So I'd love to sort of hear, maybe even if you've heard from employers what they've said about students who've done the postgraduate study, or just your overall thoughts on that question as well. And anyone's welcome to start.
Okay, I'll start again. In the ICT sector, actually, the postgraduate studies in the IT sector is it doesn't look different from an undergraduate to a postgraduate, as long as you've got the skill set that you can employ. I think it is the other studies that would complement into the ICT sector. For example, if I am looking for a job as an IT graduate in let's say a banking area, a bank or an insurance company, maybe having MBA or if it is a managerial position, an MBA or a master's in accounting or economics or some other field that would complement your skill set would be looked at as a good way of moving forward. So it is actually, and it could be true other way around as well. So if you are from accounting economics background and you wanted to go more digitized world, your postgraduate study in the ICT would look good on your resume for an employer because of that, building that cross discipline knowledge is something that would be highly regarded in our sector.
Wonderful to know. Thank you so much, Anupama. And Hong-Jae, what's it like, I guess, in the social work side of things for postgraduate study and employers? How do they look at it?
Yes, I think that's still similar to the Anupama comment again. Employers' expectation could be higher to our postgraduate social workers, because nowadays the competition actually very high among social service organizations. That means they should have some capacity to or conduct their own research or program evaluation things. So if our student like MSWQ student, if they start working, then actually they are able to do some research or program evaluation. And then that could be very advantage for or any kind of agencies. So that's something we are always looking at, because our program and curriculum is actually focused on not only skill development but also research skills outside there. So our graduates must be able to conduct or design or complete their own research project.
Okay, wonderful. So yeah, I guess it's allowing students to be equipped with the skills that employers are looking for and just highlighting that they have the skills that they are indeed looking for. So that's really, really good to know. Thank you both so much. And excitingly, we've actually had another question coming from a student, and it's from Yaswin, who is looking for a doctoral program to complete. And the question is along the lines of what your best advice on finding a topic for a research program, such as master's or PhD, and also a supervisor. Would you have any tips or advice for Yaswin than any other student who is in this position?
So, sorry, Corinne, can I ask you to clarify, or did you mention in your question, did she say which area she's from?
It doesn't say what area. No, it doesn't actually. Maybe Yasmin, if you're listening, you might want to let us know. But even a general answer would be fantastic for this one, Anupama.
Yeah. So look, if you don't have any research experience, prior research experience, maybe it is important that you start off with a Master of Research or a course around related to, or Master of Philosophy, depending on whether you have been involved in research projects prior to that or not. So the way to find for both PhDs and Master of Research, depending on what you choose to do, would be first to decide an area that you want to work in. And you might want to, when I say area, I'm not talking about just a specific, whether business or IT, but even within IT, even within business, even within psychology, there would be sub-discipline areas. So you would need to look at, when it comes to research, the researchers are very focused in that their own specific area. So you would need to decide what area do you want to do the research in, and look for academics. Their website, our website has got researchers details. The school websites have got academics who are working in different domains, discipline areas, and look for their names and write to them and check with them whether they are interested to supervise you in a project. And also having a little bit of an idea of the project that you want to do, or you may have a personal interest. Let's say, for example, that you've got a family member that is, has got a certain condition, health condition, and you are interested to research in that area and how you can use technology to help that person maybe, right? So it could be based on your personal interest, work interest. You may have an idea. it is also a good idea to write about a page or so what you think about what the project you want to get involved in, and then talk to academics and ask for an appointment to talk to them, and then you can explain. They can guide you a little bit towards that area, and sometimes you may not have an idea like that, and you may want to go and talk. You might just want to know that I want to work in something in this area, education or psychology or something, but find the academics that you want to talk to, and don't be ashamed, don't be scared, don't be, if they don't write back to you, doesn't matter. Still, keep writing to the academics and get an appointment and talk to them. I think that's the best course of action. But when you send an email, I get about like 3 of those emails a week from potential students. Don't send that email in like a mass email to everybody. When you talk to send that email to the academic, to see what he or she is doing by looking at their profile, and sort of target your question based on their profile and say, I've noticed that you've written a paper in this area, or I've seen a project that you have done something there. So you personalize the email message to that academic, and you will get a better response from them.
Wow, fantastic tips, Anupama. I love the one about personalising your email. I think it's nice to show that you've taken time to sort of research who your potential supervisor is and what great work they're doing as well. So I love that very much. And Yasmin actually messaged us saying that they're doing a Master of Engineering, or has a Master of Research as well. And also they're from Mechanical Engineering. So the STEM field, I believe, is what we're looking at there. So
that's the engineering field. So you figured out what area that you want to work in. So if you have a Master of Research, obviously you don't need to do a Master of Research anymore. You can look into getting into a PhD, and it is that now you have experience working in research projects. So which means that you can actually formulate a small proposal if you're going into the PhD. Directly, it's little different from, you're a little bit more advanced than a student getting into the research. So having a proposal and running it by an academics would be a good way to go forward.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for those fantastic tips, Anupama. I really appreciate it. And Hong-Jae, did you want to add anything to that as well from your side of things?
No, not actually. But just from my experience, if you have a topic to study for your PhD like this, it's a good idea to find out a person at the university and just contact the person directly, rather than just sending email to everybody anyway. So like Anupama, I got an email sometimes from potential student, and the email actually, we know the email actually sent to everyone. Doesn't matter who you are anyway. So everybody possibly in our team may possibly receive that same email together anyway. No, I don't feel very confident to respond that kind of emails sometimes. So if you have an idea about your topic, even just a general idea, you can find out the expert there in that area, then contact them, and then start your conversation. That's the best way to do.
Absolutely. I think what you're both saying about personalization is definitely the most important thing there, show them that you put the effort in. So really great tips. Thank you very much. And Yasmin, we hope that answered that question for you. I'm sure it did, which is fantastic. Now, only 2 more questions to go, everybody. So thank you very much for doing so fantastic so far. But our second last question is actually about whether or not in your programs that there are Commonwealth support places available for students to access. Or are there also options, I guess, to defer fees too? I should have added in there.
Hong, you want to go first?
Yeah, but because the question is very simple. Our program, MSWQ, actually has Commonwealth supported places. Mm-hmm. So students pay a lower, fees. My understanding is our students now, they pay around $6,800 or $900 per year if they got a Commonwealth supported place. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Hong-Jae. And Anupama?
Unfortunately, in the ICT field, we don't have Commonwealth supported places, and students would need to pay upfront for the courses that we have. And generally, it is per subject cost. Per subject, it would be around something around, I think, $3,000 mark per subject. That's the situation with our degrees, unfortunately. And it's very competitive because it's a lot of people getting into that positions. And most of the times, even though there aren't Commonwealth supported positions, sometimes the employers could sponsor you. Employers could sponsor you for your studies, postgraduate studies, especially if you are working in the sector and you want to upskill and you want to do a master's. Just don't be just go and ask them. I'm going to do these studies and it's going to help your organization because I'm going to bring in that knowledge to this my work. Can I get a partial scholarship from the company? And companies would like to do that. Sometimes they can tax offset, and there are benefits for them to do that as well. So don't be scared. Just go and ask them.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you both so much. It's really comforting to know what options there are out there. So anyone who's interested in those sort of areas have all the information for them, which is fantastic. And I guess to sort of finish up the specific questions about your different areas, it's where students can actually go to find out more, to find out more about what postgraduate study options there are for them in your specific areas, particularly.
Hong-Jae, you can go.
Like Hong-Jae.
yeah. For MSWQ program, actually you can find out any information from every university in Australia, because what I'm saying is almost 20 universities actually have a Master of Social Work qualifying or Master of Social Professional, or slightly different names, but they do have similar programs. So you can easily find those programs, and also you will find those programs are almost similar because we are actually following guidelines from AASW, Australian Association of Social Workers, and there's very standard curriculum or pedagogical standards around internationally. So program curriculum structure is almost similar. Only difference is Western Sydney has different type of course delivery, and also two different type of placement. More likely, student center program in particularly in Sydney area. Our class is too absolutely big. We have almost possibly more than 40 nationalities in our class, and student engagement so dynamic. So if you just send email to me like other students, you will get my response within 24 hours. I'm guaranteed that. And
wow,
also,
very fast.
Also, you can find all information, obviously, our website. So don't be hesitant. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Hong-Jae. And Anupama, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else on there as well.
Not to add, actually, to emphasize what Hong-Jae said. First would be to do some, look at the web pages, course web pages. We've got something called a handbook. It's a good place to look at, the subjects that you have to complete, and the structure that you have to complete, and all of that. And there are course web pages that you can look at. And also on these web pages, you will find email addresses of the academics or an email address that you have to contact, and send an email if you have got any questions around anything. And I'm pretty sure, like just Hong-Jae said, most academics will get back to you as soon as possible.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you both so much. It's lovely to know there's so many things that we can access and resources that there are out there to give us more information about what options there are out there. So thank you. Now, I have one final question for you, and it's actually an awesome question from one of our students, from Simran. And it's a quick question about one thing that should, it's a quick question saying, what things should someone keep in mind when you're looking for internships or volunteer projects, specifically in data science after graduation? And they've mentioned that they're currently looking for opportunities in the field, but sometimes it gets difficult to decide whether it's the right one or not, specifically with the unpaid roles and whether or not, they're the right ones to go for too. So maybe, Anupama, this might be one right up your alley for you.
Yeah, so Simran, I think it depends. If you are looking to build up your resume, look at the opportunities that kind of where you want to head to. You could be looking at a data analytics project or a data science project that a researcher is offering. I would say taking up any position is better than not doing anything. So I would say you would get that opportunity, whatever you get to do, and that's an important thing. The point there is to that what you are looking forward to is the building your long-term career path, and for that, how you are building your resume. So if you want to decide which one to take, which one not to take, you probably could be considering, if this is a project around more towards research and you really don't want to go into the research kind of stream, maybe you can avoid that, and then you want to look at more industry kind of oriented data analytics projects. That could be one way. And even within the industry sectors, you may looking at, let's say security is your forte and you want to work in that area. So you might want to look at projects that if you have a few projects to choose from, maybe that you can use certain criteria like that to pick and choose what it is coming. But otherwise, I would highly encourage to take up a position to build your resume.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. I think any experience is fantastic experience on a resume, and it always shows employers that you put the time and effort into developing yourself. So really great advice. Thank you so much, Anupama. And I guess exciting times for us, guys. We've actually gotten to the end of our questions for today. I wanted to say thank you both so very much for being here this afternoon. I know how busy you both must be, so I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Thank you very much to the students who've asked us questions. And as I mentioned at the very start of the panel, if you have got further questions that we haven't had the chance to answer here today, you're just sort of watching this at a later date, you're very welcome to leave your comments or your questions in the comment section, and we will still be able to reply to you even after the fact as well. But Hong-Jae and Anupama, thank you again very, very much, and very much looking forward to staying in touch after this. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have an amazing afternoon, everybody. And we'll see you again next week here on the panel. All right. See you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.